frontier was a land of opportunity for some, and a death sentence for others. In the aftermath of the Civil War, as settlers pushed westward across the Kansas plains, they sought a new beginning. But for those who crossed paths with one family, the journey was led only to a shallow grave. The Bloody Benders are remembered as America's first serial killers, a family of murderers who preyed on travelers seeking shelter at their remote cabin. What should have been a brief respite from the weary became their final resting place. Anyways guys, if you like what we do here, remember to like, subscribe, hit the little bell icon, that way you're notified whenever we upload new content. Before they became infamous, the Benders were a seemingly ordinary family. In 1870, John Bender Sr., his wife Elvira, son John Jr., and daughter Kate set up a cabin along the Osage Trail, a well-traveled route from Labette County, Kansas. Their cabin was divided into two sections. One side served as their living quarters, and the other as sort of a makeshift general store. From the outside, the Benders appeared no different from any other homesteading family. John Sr., an older man of German descent, was gruff and spoke little English. Elvira, his wife, was rumored to be even harsher. Locals whispered that she was a she-devil and that her temper was as terrifying as her husband's silence. John Jr., by contrast, was odd but affable, only rambling about strange topics and laughing at inappropriate moments. But it was Kate who became the face of the family. Young, charming, and a self-proclaimed psychic, Kate Bender played an essential role in the family's operations, using her charisma to lure victims. She advertised herself as a healer and clairvoyant, claiming she could speak to the dead. Locals in nearby towns attended her seances, when she preached free love and offered to cure illnesses and speak with those loved ones for a price, of course. Travelers stopping at the Bender's cabin were often greeted by Kate, who promised warmth, food, and perhaps, for an extra fee, a glimpse into the beyond. The lure of the supernatural worked, attracting curious visitors who would never leave. Kate's influence was not just over potential victims, but also over the locals. Her good looks and charm allowed the Benders to remain under the radar for far longer than they should have. There was an odd tension in the air whenever the Benders were around. They rarely interacted with townspeople outside of their business and maintained an air of secrecy. But for those travelers who fell for Kate's charm and the allure of hospitality, their fate was sealed. The Benders family method of murder was chilling in its simplicity. Travelers would be invited to sit at the head of the dining table with their backs against a large canvas curtain. The Bender family's method of murder was chilling in its simplicity. Travelers would sit at the head of the table with their backs. The Bender family's method of murder was chillingly. The Bender family's method of murder was chilling in its simplicity. Travelers would be invited to sit at the head of the table with their backs against a large canvas curtain that divided the room. As Kate distracted the victim, John Sr. or John Jr. would approach silently from behind the curtain, armed with a hammer. With one swift blow to the head, their victim was incapacitated. They were then dropped through a trapdoor into the basement, where their throats were slit and their bodies stripped of valuables. The cold efficiency with which the Benders dispatched their victims is perhaps the most terrifying part of their story. They turned their home into a factory of death, operating without remorse or hesitation. Once dead, the victims' bodies were buried in a nearby orchard, their horses or possessions sold off. As far as the Benders were concerned, every traveler was a potential victim, but they were also careful they didn't.
I don't know.
As far as the Benders were concerned, every traveler was a potential victim, but they were also careful. They didn't murder everyone who stopped by their cabin, just those who seemed wealthy enough to make it worth their while. For years, the Benders operated in the shadows, but as more and more travelers began disappearing along the Osage Trail, people grew suspicious. Locals started to talk. Stories circulated of travelers last seen near the Benders' cabin. At first, they were dismissed as mere gossip, but when well-known Dr. William York went missing in 1873, the case became impossible to ignore. Dr. William York was a well-respected physician from Independence, Kansas. When his family hadn't heard from him after he had set out to return home, his brother, Colonel Ed York, led a search party to find him. This was not just any missing persons case, it was a disappearance of a prominent man in a small, close-knit community. Ed York and his party questioned every homestead along the Osage Trail, including the Benders. When he asked them directly if they knew anything about his brother's disappearance, the Benders denied any involvement and sent him along his way. Soon after, the Bender family disappeared without a trace. Suspicious, locals went to the Bender cabin to investigate. What they found beneath the dirt floors of the cabin and in the nearby orchard shocked them to their core. The first body uncovered was that of Dr. William York, his skull crushed and throat slit, exactly how the Benders had disposed of their other victims. As more bodies were exhumed, the full extent of the Benders' killing spree became apparent. Over a dozen bodies were found buried in the orchard, though many believe the true number of victims was much higher. The discovery of the bodies sparked one of the largest manhunts in American history. Posses were formed, and the countryside was scoured in search of the Bender family. But despite numerous sightings and reported captures, the Benders were never found. Some claim that they had fled west to Colorado or even Mexico, while others believe that vigilantes had taken matters in their own hands, delivering frontier justice. The mystery of the Benders' fate is as enduring as the legend of their crimes. Over the years, rumors swirled. There were reports of sightings, trials of people claiming to be members of the family, and even confessions from unrelated killers who claimed to be the Benders. Yet none of these leads ever provided definitive answers. Some believe the Benders escaped and lived out their days under new identities, believing in blending into frontier society. Others are convinced that they were lynched by a vengeful mob and buried in an unmarked grave. One popular theory suggests that Kate Bender, the face of the operation, continued to work as a con woman in various frontier towns, but the truth, like so many other dark stories from the Old West, remains buried. Their crimes shocked the nation and forever stained the image of the lawless frontier. Today, their story serves as a reminder that evil can lurk in the most unexpected places, even in a quiet cabin in the Kansas prairie. The Bender family may be gone, but the darkness they left behind lingers, casting an eerie shadow over the history and the land that they once called home. So that's it, guys. That's a dive into the Bloody Benders. I don't really have any thoughts about the Bloody Benders, to be honest with you. It's certainly a travesty what had happened to all those people along the trail. It's wild that they just escaped, just outright escaped. But given the time frame and given that there was a whole family, they probably just packed up and moved quick. Who knows, honestly, what happened to them, but it's pretty wild. Anyways, guys, if you like what we do here, remember to like, subscribe, hit the little bell icon. That way you're notified whenever we upload new content. If you want to support the channel, there's a merch bar down below. You can always rock out some dope merch from the channel. Also, there's a PayPal link up above. Anything donated through PayPal goes right back into this channel to keep all this kind of stuff going. Anyways, guys, I'm gonna get out of here. I hope you guys have a good day, and I will see you next time.
They call my name. I dive into the depths. I play the game. Ghosts and goblins, history's lore. I'm bringing it to you like never before. In every mystery, in every tale, I uncover the truth where others fail.